Ares returns from the grave. After the family grieved the loss of Ares in front of the entire land, they were now coming up with a plan to live their lives as if he were dead, even though he was still alive. They wanted to keep him dead in front of the world for as long as possible to keep their lives peaceful. Lady Ashley and Lord Germain already knew that Lucifer and Lilith would somehow realize that Ares was bait because their senses are so high. The Star and Hermit family decided to send a duplicate of themselves to their children in the outside area of the Land of Taroc, where their children are currently living. Emperor Ares and Empress Sag was asked to migrate a little further before the war began from the messenger owl, in order for their plan to be executed. Duplicates of them were created to deceive citizens in the town in order for the plan to work. The Hermit and Star family still reside in the Land of Taroc, but the duplicates will stay and run the land with the original leader remaining, Lady Ashley, Kayla, Lord Gary, Lord Germain. They sent their duplicates but will be able to feel everything and know everything as if they were really there. They all agreed that their families were much safer on the outside for now than the town itself. They headed out, and they all joined their family. Ares and Sag were a little further away, so Lord Germain and Lady Ashley joined them, their duplicates, and Lord Gary and Lady Kayla joined the rest of the family. When Germain and Ashley joined Ares and Sag, they knew immediately that there was something different. Looked like they came just in time because they sensed that they would be grandparents and their senses was right. Ashley and Germain were so excited to know that Ares and Sag was going to have a baby, but Lady Ashley got a vision. She saw 3 girls. Not only was Sag pregnant, but she was pregnant with 3 girls. Sag passed out when she realized she was going to have 3 at one time. It was easier knowing that she would be having 1 child, but 3 was altogether different. They weren't prepared for 3, but they had time to plan. It was still very early in the game. The Hermit and Star family were very excited about having their family extended, and they took turns visiting their other children while visiting each family in between. Empress Sag lost a lot of energy during her pregnancy, so Lady Ashley and Lady Kayla perform a few more duties than usual to keep the household in order. Lady Ashley and Lady Kayla prepared a meal for the entire family to have together, since it had been that long since they had all come together. Lady Kayla is very intuitive, especially when it comes to her girls. And she noticed that they all looked a bit more sluggish than usual. And she also noticed they all had been resting more. Lady Ashley mentions to Lady Kayla, "Is it mating season? I believe they all may be expecting and maybe even at the same time." Lady Kayla replied,
"I believe you are correct."
The entire family gathered around the table, and for some reason, April, August, Venus, and June all said at the same time, "We are expecting." The grandparents high-fived each other and hugged each of their children and congratulated them all with warmth and excitement. That night was truly worth celebrating. For the first time, everything truly felt like it was going well. But in the underworld, Lucifer and Lilith were coming up with a plan to get back at their former classmates for having victory over them twice. When they got their time from Spirit, they knew then that Ares wasn't dead because they weren't serving time for his death, but their punishment is to guard the underworld, and if any of them get loose that are behind bars, their sentence would be even longer. They are plotting to get someone else to do their dirty work from the underworld, so their former classmates won't see it coming. While all this is happening, Lady Ashley asked if she could have the honor in naming the girls, and of course, Sag and Ares loved the idea of that. "I would like to name them Iana, Meredith, and Tatiana Star." They absolutely loved the names, and they agreed to those names for their girls. They all hugged with excitement. Uranus and Venus are expecting. The next morning, it was Lady Kayla that noticed that Venus was a bit bigger than her other sisters, with the exception of Sag in their pregnancies. Lady Kayla asked Lady Ashley to have a look. She saw 3 boys. Venus was also pregnant with 3, but they were boys. They all went in celebrating all over again. Except King Uranus. He passed out as soon as he heard, but happy, nevertheless. After Uranus came to, he embraced his wife with joy, and they all began preparing and planning for 2 more babies. After the dust settled, Lord Germain was beginning to sense that something may happen to his family. He and Lady Ashley both knew how well Lucifer and Lilith knew the law in the sacred Land of Hearts. They worked for the system, and they know that the crime and the time they will serve in the underworld will not include the death of Ares, and at some point, they will still come after their family. What do you think we should do?
We should just keep our thoughts between us for now and do a white spell for protection. The Land of Taroc is safe for now, with the essence of the kings and queens, along with our duplicates.
I think you are right. With everything in the Land of Taroc moving along as usual, no one would be looking for our family here, but they may in the Land of Taroc. All the grandparents came together to protect their future grandchildren with a white spell, and they won't worry their children yet, especially during the early part of their pregnancies. It could cause more stress and sometimes early deliveries. Venus was already swelling a bit more than usual and was asked to stay off her feet as much as possible. All of the sisters were due near the same time, and every last one of them were pregnant with more than one child. Every time they thought they had everything almost planned out, the plan changed. Lady Kayla and Lady Ashley made outfits for their grandchildren, and of course all the girls helped before the births. No one knew the day or the hour that the babies would be born, so everyone was on high alert on what to do in case they all go into labor at the same time. Even though there was a plan in place, they all knew that things could change at any time. Lady Kayla asked,
Would you mind if I name my grandsons? It would be a great honor.
Venus and Uranus both agreed that they would love that.
I would like for their names to be Chris, Kendall, and Courtney Starr.
They absolutely loved those names for their boys, and they all agreed on them. They embraced each other in a hug. Lord Germain decided he would spend the week with Queen June and King Pluto and help them prepare for their twins. They recently found out that they would be having a girl and a boy, and since Lord Germain was there, he asked if he could have the honor of naming them, and they happily agreed.
I would like for the boy to be named Calvin Starr, and the girl, Lena Starr.
Pluto and June agreed to the names, and this made Lord Germain the happiest man alive. While he was there, he helped build a nursery for them temporarily while they were still on the outside of the Land of Taroc, hidden under a white spell. This will be their home away from home, and after the babies are born and old enough, the plan is to return to full-time duties in the Land of Taroc. But for now, they were making their home away from home, their temporary permanent home for safety for the entire Star and Hermit family. Returning to the Land of Taroc would mean revealing a small deception with the death of Ares, and revealing the leaders have children, which is a topic for another day. Lord Germain gathered all of the brothers, Ares, Taurus, Leo, Uranus, Pluto, and Lord Gary to build cribs for all the babies, and also decorate all the rooms in all the homes so that the women could rest a bit and have a little bit of a break before the babies are born. Lord Germain realized that it would be better for the women to play a different role in preparing for the arrival of the babies.
I was thinking that the men would do most of the physical work in preparation to keep stress levels down.
And all of the women happily agreed to the terms. The women made all of the clothes and diapers in different sizes since their weight and heights are unknown right now. Everything that could ever be thought of in the preparation of the babies were done as quickly as possible. While all the planning was going on for the Star and Hermit family, Lucifer was coming up with a plan of his own. He sent a spy from the underworld to go to check on the Land of Taroc and to see what was happening there and report back, which is also the son of Lilith. He was the kind of spy that could transform into anything and very hard to catch. His nickname is Hawkeye, because he could see everything from anywhere and he could move around without anyone ever noticing he was there. He would only agree with one condition.
I am in thirst for power, and I want more power. And if you can guarantee that I could steal power or some of the power from a higher level being, or beings, I'm in.
Lucifer agreed.
You got it.
Lord Gary went to check on King Taurus and Queen April. Taurus looked worn out by the time he arrived. He came to help in whatever way they needed outside of everything that they all were working on together, and they truly appreciated him taking the time to come by and offer an extra set of hands. Lord Gary helped build a nice chest and dresser with Taurus out back, while April prepared lunch and dinner. They all sat on the back porch, and Taurus and April asked Lord Gary if he would name their twins.
Would you like to name our twins? April and I discussed it and would be honored if you would.
I would be honored. I already have names in place. Alicia and Elliot Star.
Taurus and April happily agreed and thought the names were fitting. This time, the family asked instead of Lord Gary asking, and he was very honored to be asked. They finished their lunch and finished working well up into dinner. Everyone had decided on having their meal together, so they all met at Taurus and April's home and helped finish off the meal as a group. As they were enjoying their meal together as a family in the outside area of the Land of Taroc, Hawkeye had entered the Land of Taroc as if he were a messenger bird. The real Lord Germain, Lord Gary, Lady Ashley, and Lady Kayla were there in the Land of Taroc, and they all sensed something dark in their land, but they couldn't quite tell exactly what it was and where it was coming from. But they expected something would be lurking. Not long after Lucifer and Lilith discovered that Ares wasn't dead, but to the entire land he was. They needed proof that he was still alive. Because they were consciously aware of a dark force, they never spoke of Ares being alive, only dead to throw off whatever spy they all sensed in the land.
I will take over all the duties Ares had temporarily until I can get the kings up to speed on some of his responsibilities.
While you are working on that, I'll help Sag a bit more with her duties. Hawkeye reported to Lucifer that
Everything appeared on the surface, as if Ares is deceased. The way that everyone grieved in the town lets me know that he is, but I'll need more time to investigate. They sensed me.
because they are dealing with higher level beings and they are very powerful, he could tell they sensed his presence. In the meantime, in the outside area of Land of Taroc, everyone decided to go to Leo and August's home for lunch. To relax after a long day of building and sewing, a lot got accomplished that day. They built, or began to build, a small hospital, so they all could deliver in a location equipped to deliver a baby. Lady Ashley would teleport from the outside land to the Land of Taroc to get supplies for the deliveries of the babies, and when she went into town, she would receive messages from the duplicates of suspicious activity from dark forces. Lady Ashley reported back to Lord Germain, Lord Gary, and Lady Kayla that a spy of dark forces paid a visit to the Land of Taroc. She got a message from her duplicate that she believes Lucifer and Lilith knows Ares is still alive. I suspect that Lucifer and Lilith sent them to see if Ares is really dead, and I believes they will be back soon. Right now they are suspicious, but they have no proof, and we aren't going to give it.
The next time, if there is a next time, there will be an investigation done by me to see what and who is attempting to cause chaos in the land.
But until then, let's make this our home a while longer to keep everyone safe.
They all agreed. Once everyone settled and had dinner, the family asked if Leo and August if they had names for their twins yet. They responded no and asked for suggestions. After everyone got done throwing out names, Leo and August agreed on the names Denise and Dennis Starr. For their twins, everyone happily agreed with that. While everyone had agreed on the name of Leo and August's twins, Lilith sent in one of her spies along with Hawkeye to see what they both discovered. Her spy was Herman. Herman was similar to Hawkeye and could transform into anything and track anything too. Hawkeye is a child from a former lover that would probably die for her. They went on their way together, Herman and Hawkeye, to the Land of Taroc for more investigation. While they were sending in spies, Archangel Michael was watching them both, Lucifer and Lilith, like a hawk, because he knows their capabilities, and also they are siblings, and he knows they are up to something. Delivery time was drawing near for all the Hermit sisters in the outside Land of Taroc, where no one from the Land of Taroc knows exist with the exception of Archangel Michael. As time got closer to their due date, Lady Ashley was taking more trips into town to get everything they needed, with great discretion from the townsmen and any outside forces. She noticed that she was being followed or tracked, so she made herself invisible and began tracking the tracker. The tracker was Herman, unknown to Lady Ashley at this time, but she summoned her messenger owl to find out more about him and to keep an eye out on what he could have been up to and why he was following her. He ran into the essence of Lady Ashley from the outside area of the Land of Taroc. The true Lady Ashley was away at the moment handling affairs, so she was happy that he didn't spot them both. At the same time, the real Lady Ashley got the message something was happening and was on high alert though. Archangel Michael was the only one that knew where the real Hermit and Star family were, with the exceptions of Lord Germain, Lord Gary, Lady Ashley, and Lady Kayla, and a few townsmen. There is a forest field built around them in the outside area of the Land of Taroc. The real guardians were in the Land of Taroc, but Archangel Michael thinks that the real family should be together now. He was the only one that had an entrance in and out, and he came with a message and a warning of what he learned about Lucifer and Lilith. He spoke with the essence of Lord Germain, and he said to him,
Lucifer and Lilith are serving their time in the underworld, but they know they aren't serving time for the death of Ares. They have a long sentence to serve, but if they are obedient for the next several years, they will have an opportunity to be relieved of their duties and not have to serve as guardians of the underworld for eternity. If a life had been taken, they would be behind bars, not guarding it, so they know Ares is alive. They have minions they are working with, or at least I suspect it because I saw 2 visitors meet them in the underworld. Herman, who can transform into anything, and Hawkeye, Lilith's demon child she had from a previous failed assignment before coming after you all, are working with Lucifer and Lilith. Lilith was assigned to the underworld several times for her disobedience and rebellious attitude.
Archangel Michael had hoped that after being sentenced to do time in the underworld, that it would change Lucifer and Lilith, but that hope died long ago. He admitted to Lord Germain that
Lucifer and Lilith are my younger siblings, and I did what I could to help them stay the course, but something happened to them. It's almost like they are entirely different people, but they are too far gone in darkness for me to help them now. Their essence even smells different. I plan to get to the bottom of it.
it was just as hard for Archangel Michael to go up against them as it was for their former classmates, because they were gifted and also his siblings that were trained for battles like he was. Archangel Michael then left and spoke.
I have shared with you everything and what I suspect, and I'll investigate to find out more and protect your family. I'll update you on any new findings.
Lord Germain replied.
Thank you for the information, and I plan to protect my family the same way you protect us.
The Star and Hermit family prepare for delivery. They were all at the hospital they built and completed together. They each had a room together, and there was a grandparent with each family. Ares, Sag, Uranus and Venus shared one big room with Lady Ashley and Lady Kayla's assistants. Taurus, April, Pluto, June, Leo and August shared one big room, with Lord Germain and Lord Gary helping with their deliveries. It would appear that all the Hermit sisters' water broke, all at the same time, and that they were all having contractions. It was no way that they would be able to deliver all those babies at once without another set of hands. Lord Germain called on Archangel Michael's help, and he brought along Chloe. They all delivered at the same time, and the Star and Hermit grandparents went from 0 to 12 grandchildren overnight. The deliveries were long, but so worth it. After delivery comes the hard part, protecting them, raising them, and teaching them everything they will need to know to be successful adults. It has been 1 week since the grandchildren had been born. So the grandparents decided they would give their children a day to really rest and take some time off before they really have to do some work with the children. Lady Ashley and Lady Kayla got all of the girls, and they got 3 apiece. Lady Ashley and Lady Kayla noticed that one of the grand girls weren't just any ordinary child. One of them transported to a different area of the house, and one caused the ground to move. Once they realized 3 of the girls had powers, they were sure all the girls did. They both realized that they would have to start training them as soon as they were old enough in how to use their gifts properly. Then, they both wondered if the white spell they wrote on their children affected how strong the grandchildren's gifts were at such an early age. Some of their gifts were unknown and could not been seen in full yet. But they all had them, including all of the boys. Lord Germain and Lord Gary ran over as quickly as they could as soon as they discovered the boys' powers, because one of them burned Lord Gary as he changed his diaper. They all knew this was going to be a difficult task, and that it would be even harder if their children had to handle such powerful kids on their own. So they decided collectively to wait until they were at least 3 years old to begin training them on their gifts so they could protect themselves in case trouble finds them, and also bind their powers until Sivindel, then so they would not accidentally hurt their parents or themselves. They asked permission from the parents, of course, because they should be aware of their children's gifts. And of course, they agreed. All of the grandchildren were a handful together, and separately, but they all were very smart, and had a memory of an elephant. And because of that, Lady Ashley started teaching them how to remember things in repetition, the minute they could talk, and Lord Gary taught them how to meditate and sit still as long as possible. Lady Ashley and Lord Gary were known as Grandma and Pop-Pops to the grandchildren. Lord Germain and Lady Kayla was known as Grandpa and Granny, even though they all looked as if they haven't aged a day in their life. As each year went by, they learned a little more from their grandparents and their parents, but mostly were grouped to learn from each of them in groups of 3 until they learned from each parent and grandparent. And by the time they were 3 years old, their powers were returned to them all, and they had control because of everything they learned from their parents and grandparents. Lady Ashley decided to teach them a white spell they could use anytime they were in trouble, one short and sweet, and it went like this.
Grandma, Granny, Grandpa, and Pop-Pops, now, send your light as quick as you can. Protect me with your soul.
And cover me with your spirit, as you deliver us from a place unknown to a place we know as home.
If they were ever in real trouble, they could send themselves home with that spell. As time went on in the Land of Taroc, Herman and Hawkeye soon discovered that the family in the Land of Taroc, portraying as the Star family, weren't real. They discovered this because they tried attacking Pluto from behind, and he disappeared as if he never existed, which made them want to find out where the real family was. They had been watching and planning for years to attack, and when they finally did, it revealed they were watching ghosts. The Star grandchildren had now come until their full powers, and was now 5 years old. Even though they had full control of their powers, they weren't eager to use them, unless they were forced to, and they never really had a reason to, and that was a concern for Lady Ashley. She often wondered if they would really attack when there was a real need to, but she had faith that they would know what to do when the time came, if ever a time exists. In the Land of Taroc, Herman and Hawkeye watched every move the Star family made to figure out where they may be hiding, because they both realized they were watching ghosts. They even had a few of their demon friends and associates on the lookout, because they all wanted to have the powers this family possessed. Lady Ashley knew it would be risky teleporting in and out of the land, because she knew the family was being watched, but their supplies were getting low, and she was the fastest and quickest at moving in and out, but not this particular day. Hawkeye saw both versions of her and followed one, while Herman followed the other one. It happened quick, but Hawkeye found the real family and started putting a plan together. When he did find the family, he had no idea that the family grew so much and so big in the last 5 years.
Interesting. The whole family may have powers. I think I will start with the kids first.
He went back and shared what he had learned about the family.
I found the real family through a magical portal. The environment is heavily protected, and it's not easy to get in or out of without the family allowing you to. We will proceed with caution.
Hawkeye almost didn't get in because Lady Ashley is so fast, and she doesn't teleport often, and their home has a forest field barrier around it that no one can see with a human eye. The grandchildren would have to be lured out if Hawkeye wanted their plan to succeed. Their plan was to lure the grandchildren in a trap that they could not escape or re-enter back. into the forest field that protects them, and abstract their essence, their parents' essence, and their grandparents' essence, to have full control, which was pretty ambitious, to try again on powerful celestial beings, but it was their goal, nevertheless. They did what anyone would do to get kids' attention. They created a fake carnival with toys and games on the outside of the forest field that only the kids would see. Hawkeye stayed in that forest field a while, observing the kids' activities and what they liked to do, how many there were and what the adults did while they played. Plus, it took him a minute to find a way out, so he studied them before he left, so he knew that this would be the bait to draw them in, or in this case, draw them out. All of the kids were playing outside, and they noticed the carnival going on. And of course, they are curious, like their parents and grandparents. So, they run to see what's going on. They never saw anything quite like it, and because they were the only family where they were, no one knew of their existence, and their parents weren't really paying attention or concerned a whole lot about anything happening to them because they were the only family there, until they called in the kids for lunch, and no one responded, and no one could be found. The parents panicked, but the grandparents remember everything they taught them and hoped they would utilize their skills and knowledge when the time called for it. The grandparents then decided to enhance their children's powers, to make them stronger than ever, and more courageous. Lord Germain and Lady Ashley created a huge portal, and Lord Gary and Lady Kayla created a huge chariot to transport the whole family together in the forest field as a group, so they could return as a group. The essence of Lady Kayla will look from their protected home in the Land of Taroc through her magical ball to see what she finds while the parents look. Meanwhile, Lady Ashley had her suspicions about their disappearance, and now she will return to the Land of Taroc to connect with the real Lady Ashley temporarily. Lord Germain and Lord Gary will work their magic from the Land of Taroc and keep in contact telepathically with their children. All of the Star grandchildren were enjoying themselves, and then they realized how late it was getting, and they no longer could see where home was, and began trying to find it. They didn't realize how far away they had gotten from home, and they noticed that everything that they enjoyed the day disappeared suddenly right in front of them. They began to huddle closer together and held each other for comfort. Hawkeye, Herman, and all their minions gathered around the grandchildren and put them in a box big enough to carry them all with holes around it, similar to jail, and took them to their hideout. The children were in a box, and they thought about what Grandma Ashley told them to say out loud if they were lost and wanted to return home. They all recited,
Grandma, Granny, Grandpa, and Pop-Pops.
Send your light as quick as you can. Protect me with your soul and cover me with your spirit, as you deliver us from a place unknown to a place called home.
They all magically disappeared to their home in the Land of Taroc. The grandchildren ended up in the real Land of Taroc, right, with their real grandparents, not their essence. And when they saw their grandparents and arrived where they were all so happy to see each other. But Ayana asked,
Where is this place? It's not the home I remember, and where are our parents?
Tatiana commented.
It's beautiful here, and I wouldn't mind this being my home.
Granny Kayla replied,
This is your true home. The home you know is a temporary home, and a home to protect you during uncertain times, but you return to your real home.
Grandpa Germain asked,
What happened, and what led to you all to using a spell to come home?
Calvin explained,
We were taken and captured and lured in somehow from some not-so-good people.
Lady Ashley suggested, Let's use their essence, or part of their essence, to send them back if it's possible to capture who lured them in the first place. Lady Ashley, Lady Kayla, Lord Gary, and Lord Germain all agreed to keep the real children safe in the Land of Taroc with the essence of their parents, and send their essence from where they came back to where they came, with a white spell and with the abilities they have, so if they needed to defend themselves, they could with a boost of their powers. while their parents track the dark forces behind the children's disappearance and make them think the dark forces still have the real children so they can still look for them and capture the dark forces. All the Star grandchildren will fight together against darkness as they all return to the box that appeared to look like a jail for children, with their essence and all of their full powers, as if they never left that box, along with their parents Aries, Sagi, Taurus, April, Leo, August, Uranus, Venus, Pluto, and June that later joined them when they found them. Lady Ashley attached a tracking device on her grandchildren before they left to find them in case they kept moving, so that their parents would be able to meet up with them. Lord Germain telepathically sent a message to Aries telling him,
We were able to track the children, and I'm going to tell you exactly where they are.
Aries replied.
Thank you, Dad.
And Lord Germain's reply was,
You are welcome, son. Love you, be safe, and protect our family.
Lord Germain never revealed to Aries that the actual kids were safe at home already because he wanted their plan to be executed perfectly. The parents were pretty hot on their trail, but very discreet in how they moved. They all wanted to move in without being seen or heard. The chariot the grandchildren were being pulled along in finally came to a complete stop. The grandchildren looked out in their environment and thought, We have never seen anything like this before. It was suddenly very dark and gloomy and didn't appear to be any life force there. It was dark like the dark forces surrounding them. Hawkeye approached them trying to scare them, but little did he know the powers they all possessed. He watched them and observed them, but he never really saw them use powers full out because the grandchildren didn't want to hurt each other, or possibly cause injury, or even death to themselves or others. If anyone attempted to hurt them in any way, they are fearless, with an extra boost of power from their grandparents. The parents watched and observed the children's body language, and they could tell their children had no fear of what was to become of them.
Are those our kids?
They were all there to protect.
We came here to protect our kids, but they look like they can handle themselves.
But little did they know how much real skills their children had, which made Aries wonder if they were the real children, but it didn't matter. The minute Herman reached at Chris, he burned him with his fire and froze him. When Hawkeye saw the powers they possessed, he called on reinforcements. It was so many of them, but it didn't scare the grandchildren. Chris and Tatiana have the same gifts and put their powers together like yin and yang, destroying one at a time, and using their swords to trap the dark forces they defeat inside. Their swords are smaller, but hold the same strength as the adult-sized swords. Meredith used her wand, and so did Kendall, to move from place to place, allowing the dark forces to come together so they would be trapped in the swords. Courtney and Ayana were both the seers and could transport, but it was limited to only how far they could see. If they weren't able to see what was on the other side, they couldn't do it. Their powers will get stronger with time. Alicia and Elliot used their earth power. Calvin and Lena used their water powers. Dennis and Denise used their fire powers on the dark forces to hold them in place until they could be entered into the swords, but they were multiplying in numbers. And it began to be too much for the children to fight alone. And all of their parents joined into the fight to help them. Ares took out his sword and captured many dark forces, but their supplies were getting low. Sag used her swords and her magician power to capture the dark forces. Uranus pulled out his sword of truth, and the dark forces he was up against replied,
I will destroy you. Use your power, and take all of your family's gifts as well.
Uranus captured the dark forces, but was haunted by its words. Pluto and June used their gift of water. Leo and August used their gifts of fire. And April, along with Venus, used their gifts to bury some of the dark forces, but they kept multiplying. Taurus built a huge ground covering over them to allow everyone a chance to take a break and come up with a plan to destroy and capture these dark forces. As they were discussing their plan, Lady Ashley and Lord Germain flew in on Black Stag, and Lady Kayla and Lord Gary teleported there from the Land of Taroc. The grandparents came, prepared in their suit of armor and shield, with extra supplies. After they witnessed what was happening, they were hoping to stay out of this fight. But it was a bit much for a family that doesn't fight regularly, but something that the grandparents were all so used to. The grandparents joined the fight. When they saw how many dark forces kept arising, the essence of the grandparents was left in the Land of Taroc, with the real grandchildren. But the real grandparents joined the fight in their celestial form. They decided to do the formation plan that was put into action that they all practiced as an emergency, one that no one really wanted to ever do. The grandparents stood out front making a letter V in their suit of armor and shield. They also carried several bows with arrows ready to light up and burn any potential threat. The grandchildren's parents stood behind their parents with their bows and arrows, along with their swords, in a V shape, formation, along with the 12 grandchildren that stood behind their parents in a bigger V shape to cover front, side, middle, and back, with the 2 strongest grandchildren in the back, Tatiana and Chris. All of the grandchildren possess all 4 elemental powers to cover the entire family. Once they were all in formation, Lady Ashley removed the earth barrier Taurus created and charged towards the dark forces while looking for the main source of what or who caused this fight in the first place, which was Herman and Hawkeye. They realized they were in over their head with this fight and fled seeking more help. Lord Germain used his violet flame to transmute a lot of the negative energy in the air to positive. Herman and Hawkeye returned to Lucifer and Lilith with information they withheld for their own selfish gain.
We got greedy and tried to get not only the powers of your former classmates, but their children and grandchildren that are very powerful as well.
Yeah, we were in over our heads, and now we could use your help to defeat them.
Lucifer and Lilith left them both to hang themselves.
Your services are no longer needed. Had you come to us at the beginning with the information about your intentions, we could have had a better plan. You are on your own.
And from now on, we will do things our way. This new information changes everything.
And now the family has more to lose. Back on the battlefield, the transmutation caused a lot of the dark forces to flee or be captured in the swords. Once the dark forces are captured and placed in the swords, they were sent to the underworld where they served time in spiritual jail for their crimes. Everything was quieting down, and the grandparents decided to finish this fight with the few dark forces left in the battlefield, and give their family time to catch their breaths. But that was short-lived. Herman and Hawkeye decided that they would take their chances and attempt to overthrow the family on their own before Lucifer and Lilith got a chance to. Lord Germain charged as hard as he could at Herman and replied,
I know your intentions, but you won't get away with it, and I am not afraid to rip you to pieces.
He took his shield to him and captured him in his sword. Germain would prefer Herman serve time in spiritual jail and court to make him suffer, instead of letting him off easy with a simple fight. Lady Ashley went after Hawkeye while the rest of the family finished the fight on the battlefield. You will pay for your crimes and attacks against my family. Each and every one pulled out the swords and captured all the dark forces left on the battlefield into their swords. Hawkeye tried to turn into any and everything he could think of to lose Lady Ashley on his trail. She has eyes like a hawk too, and nothing gets past her. She finally caught up to him and hit him as hard as she could with her shield and knocked him out cold. She captured him with her sword and returned to her family. They gathered up all the swords that were used to capture all the dark forces and called Archangel Michael to come and get them so that they would see their day in spiritual court. He gathered the swords along with a few other angels and were on their way. He thanked the family and said,
I will keep you informed. If anything comes up unusual, relax and enjoy your time together.
The Star and Hermit family defeated Herman and Hawkeye and the rest of the dark forces, but for how long? And was it really over? Are the questions they all really wanted to know. The families realize that they have won this battle, but when will the war end? They have spent years away from a home that took years to build, had a family, and hid. Lord Germain suggested,
Let's come out of hiding.
Lady Ashley, Lady Kayla, and Lord Gary agreed.
We are powerful beings and can take on anything. We just proved that on the battlefield and came together effortlessly, as if we had been doing this a while.
Lady Ashley said, We are powerful, and we didn't come into this world to hide. We are a powerful nation, and we must stand together as one, with no fear, and help each other. Lord Gary replied,
It is almost as if we were living our lives in darkness, like the dark forces targeting us, because we kept our lives hidden from the very land we worked hard to build.
Lady Kayla felt the same way.
I thought it several times, and thought I may have been the only one who felt that way and never shared it. But now I'm glad to know that you all feel the same way.
Ares replied,
We have deceived the land in having them believe I was dead, to now find out that I am very much alive. How do you think our land would receive what we did?
Sag replied,
With forgiveness in their hearts and a joy to celebrate your life and not your death.
The grandchildren were very excited to go to the place that is their true home, the Land of Taroc. From what they saw, it's very beautiful there and plenty of activities and other children in the land to play with and get to know. They loved each other, but they wanted to know what it was like to interact with people outside of their family. They hurried to the place they called home and prepared for their true home. As the grandchildren packed and prepared to leave, they began thinking of all the beautiful memories they shared and all the jokes they played on each other at each other's homes and began to tear up. Lady Ashley walked in as all of the grandchildren gathered for one last walkthrough. After loading the chariots, in the house they called the Big House, shedded a few tears and said,
Grandma, we will miss this home.
She replied, We will be back for vacations, and you don't have to pack everything and take it with you. You can leave a few items here. They were all excited because, in their minds, they weren't going to see this place again, but can return at any time. Lady Kayla told them,
This is our home away from home, and that we will come occasionally to get out the land when the time calls for it.
Lord Gary and Ares helped load the rest of their belongings, and they all headed on their way. Lord Germain and Lady Ashley rode off on Black Stag heading home. The family is finally returning home to the Land of Taroc. Ares came in quietly, and so did the grandchildren. No one in the Poston Land of Taroc knew of the children's existence, or that Ares was still alive. They unloaded and unpacked everything the grandchildren had. Lord Germain and Lord Gary called for a town's meeting, alerting everyone to gather so they could give them some news collectively. Lady Ashley wanted to share her news first with the townspeople. There is good news that I want to share with all of you. I am a proud grandmother of 12, along with Lords Germain and Gary and Lady Kayla. Lord Germain apologized to the town.
I want to first apologize for withholding this information from you all, and also apologize for deceiving you all in making you believe that Ares had been killed.
All the townspeople were shocked, but also relieved that Ares was still alive. But they all wonder why they waited 5 years to come forward with this information. Lord Gary replied,
We wanted to protect all of you. Without bringing harm to the innocent, and with our family being targeted, everyone would feel much safer knowing that the threat was neutralized. If the enemy knew or thought they had gotten their way, they would leave our family alone, but because our family was still found, we could not keep hiding because we still had a town to protect.
Lady Ashley said, We started this land. We are the protectors of this land, and we will not be forced out of it because of our gifts. We will now use our gifts to serve and protect this land as we were always intended to do. Ares will resume his duties, and so will the rest of the town. The town was happy and cheered and suggested that Lord Germain, Lady Ashley, Lord Gary and Lady Kayla faces be stoned in the land as the protectors. Everyone agreed, and there was a ceremony in honor of the chosen ones, the guardians, the protectors of the land. Lord Germain, Lady Ashley, Lady Kayla, and Lord Gary. The townspeople felt safe again and also happy to have their emperor back. They were excited to see what the next chapter would bring, and so were the protectors.